Who's the top guy in the club for fishing every day? Fishfrank. You say you want to catch some fish? Hey,
Are we on?
We're on.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't turn on the music. I was just sitting here thinking about what we're going to do. Fishing Frank here, Captain Josh Olive over there. It's going to get real cold tomorrow. They're forecasting 30, 31 degrees plus a wind chill in the 20s. So this is Tuesday, January something. I don't know when it is, but
Today is January 27th.
January 27th, Tuesday. Now, tomorrow morning, Wednesday morning, it's supposed to be 30 degrees, maybe 31, maybe 32. But unlike most areas where the fish never have to deal with water less than 33 degrees, in saltwater, it doesn't freeze. So the water can easily drop into the 20s. It can be 28, 29, 30 degrees, and most fish cannot survive that low a temperature. Let's start off. Let's talk a little bit about Snook. Maybe I'll get on the green screen. Is that okay?
Yeah, let me beam you in there.
All right.
Let's figure out where the screen is.
Okay.
And there I am, and then we can beam Frank in. All right. There
Now, one thing about this is we have the flats. You've got Port Charlotte up here, but all around Hog Island, you've got exceptionally shallow water. Down the west side of the harbor, you've got a main sandbar that runs down outside, and then a couple hundred yards in, you have the mangrove edge. So those are flats areas. All along the east side of the harbor, we've got a sandbar that keeps the regular harbor, and then behind the bar is the flats. Now, Bull Bay, Turtle Bay, the exterior sandbar, interior all flats. Bokeelia, you've got the exterior sandbar. Inside of that bar is all the flats. Now, talking about all the flats, and you have Gasparilla Sound, and this goes all the way up the intercoastal, where you have the man-made dugout channel, and in a lot of cases blasted out. They had to use dynamite to make that channel through a lot of the limestone. But right next to that, you've got very shallow water. Now, in a perfect world, if a snook is here along the mangroves and north wind starts blowing the water out, the snook will leave the mangrove edge and get outside of the bar. That's good. I'm just going to be kind of generalizing
I know,
areas.
but I wanted to be able to see the bar.
Okay. But this bar is life and death, literally, for fish. If they're behind the bar tonight when it's 30 degrees out, north wind blowing all the water out, anything back here that's less than 2 feet of water, 2 feet of water or less, those fish are going to die. If they have 4, 5, 6 feet of water, they're probably going to live because it takes a long time for the temperature to get down that far. But anything less than 2 feet or less, this is going to be death for a lot of fish. Anywhere on here, if you back it out, and when you notice and you see fish dying after a freeze, you see them mostly along the mangroves first, and back in Bull Bay, Turtle Bay, some of these areas, because they get in the habit of when the water comes up, they go to the mangroves, they get up underneath the mangroves, and they're feeding and getting all the stuff under the mangroves that draws them there to begin with. But when the water goes down, a lot of times in front of these islands on both sides of the harbor, even on the west wall, where you have the drip edge of the mangroves, where the water runs off like here, a lot of times there's a trough right in that area. And it's probably 8 to 6 inches to a foot deep. Now that 6 inches to a foot deep is kind of critical because maybe you got you're dealing with a foot, maybe a foot and a half of water. That's less than the 2 feet we're talking about, because the cold can penetrate that 2 feet very quickly. And what happens is they get lazy and they're not leaving the islands and getting outside the bar where the water's deep enough. they're hanging out in little pockets and troughs all around on the flats. Well, as the water goes out, that temperature drops down, leads to a lot of dead snook. Now, Josh, snook are pretty fragile for as far as temperature goes, right?
They really are. And when you look at these fish, this is pretty close to the northern end of their range. The common snook that we see here go all the way down to Brazil, all through the tropical areas. But going further north of us,
Tampa's pretty much the top of their, and there's going to be a ton of dead snook in Tampa tonight.
so we're
It's going to
looking
be
at fish
colder
that
longer.
once that temperature gets below about 60 degrees, they're really suffering. Not air temperatures, remember, water temperatures.
Absolutely, you got to think water temperature, and that first foot of water can change in a matter of hour, 2 hours. That first foot, once you get that cold wind blowing on it, every inch you go down is critical. And anything caught in less than 3 feet of water, because the cold isn't going to last long, but in Tampa it's going to last a lot longer than it is here. Here we're going to deal with it for a few hours, and then the sun will start warming things up. But on a drastic temperature shift, small snook can go what, to like 46 degrees?
The babies can tolerate much colder temperatures, and that's true with some of your other tropicals, like, for example, tarpon. You're talking about all those fish in shallow water dying. If they all were going to die, then every tarpon around here, the babies would all get frozen to death. They'd all die. But fortunately, they tolerate much lower temperatures than the adults do. And in this case, yeah, with snook, it's about 46, 47 degrees that the babies can live through. Adults are expected to start dying at about 55 degrees. Once you hit below 50, you've got mass lethality events.
Yeah, there could be a big loss of snook. Now, even redfish are susceptible to the cold waters. And that's why these sandbars are so critical. Anything that stays behind the bar without access to deeper water, redfish can actually be hurt at what, 40, 30?
When they get below 40, they get in the same position that snook were at 60. They're starting to really suffer. Once you get those temperatures below about 37 degrees, you're going to see a bunch of dead redfish.
And again, anything caught on the flats. Now, what's good about this is the wind is going to be blowing the water out of here. So these flats are going to get very, very shallow, inches deep. I mean, if there's normally 18 inches of water on them, with the wind blowing the way it's going to, that's going to reduce that depth, which means more fish will leave the flats. That's where the depth comes into play. If there's no water there, the fish got to go to deeper water. So that's going to help some. And when we get the mid tides in a real cold where it's like a 1.0, well, this is going to be much lower than that. We're going to be losing. My canal today, we're looking out there, it's one of the shallowest I've seen it. So now this is going to start getting fish to leave these shallow water areas. If they can make it into 4 feet of water, 5 or 6, they're going to survive tonight or this tomorrow morning. But if they can't, you're going to start seeing a lot of dead fish, and it's because they get lazy. And I kind of understand it. If I can go from the kitchen out to the porch, have my morning ritual of coffee and nicotine, I don't want to have to walk a block away. So what happens is right under the mangroves where you have the leaves coming, you got the drip edge coming down, there's a lot of times a trough there, which can be 6 inches to a foot deeper than the surrounding areas. And so when the water starts going down, instead of leaving and getting all the way outside of the sandbars where the water's going to be deep and stable temperatures, they'll stay back in these areas where they're in 18 inches of water, which is fine to survive a low tide transitioning back to a higher tide, but it doesn't help them survive the freezing temperatures that we're going to experience over the next 24 hours. It's going to kill a lot of fish, and it will be the lazy, stupid ones. If they can't get their lazy butt up and get off of the flat out to deeper water, it's going to be a high mortality of those. The bad part about it is that eliminates kind of the low IQ snook, making them more intelligent. Would the genetics be, okay, we're back here, the water's going down, it's getting low, we're going to go out here. And if they're dumber snook are going to stay there and die, so the genetics are going to make these fish smarter, right?
I'd really love to agree with you on this, but I'm not even sure about your premise being fully accurate on the intelligence of these fish or not. So,
But yeah, so tonight could be pretty bad for the population. But this has happened a lot over the years. And ever since social media came out and people can take pictures and they're sharing pictures, everything gets more and more catastrophic. We've lived through this many, many times over the last 40 years I've been in business. We've seen it about every 12 years, maybe 10, but I'd say about every 12 years we have snook die from cold weather. And everybody freaks out about it. And you're going to see tomorrow, Wednesday, tons of pictures on the internet. People be out there, oh, look at all the dead fish and the world is ending. No, it's not. It's a bad thing, not a catastrophic thing. Us and the fish have been through this many times. Does your heart break for it? Absolutely. Should your mind break for it? No. You should just feel bad and understand that nature is not a Disney movie. It's cruel, it's vicious, and you got to play by the rules. Nature wants you to leave the shallow water, get to deep water.
and I don't even know if I'd call it a bad thing. Again, we're dealing with a fish that's pretty close to the northern end of its range. This is just what happens. It's
I
just
call it a
how it's
bad
done.
thing. I hate seeing anything die. Possibly, with the exception of cormorants. I don't care.
I'm not saying
They
I'm
can
happy
die.
about it.
I
I'm
think
just,
cormorants can die, but snook, it breaks my heart. And what do you think is this going to affect trout? Is that possible?
of course. I mean, when you get down to those chilly water temperatures, and trout start suffering before redfish do. So we definitely could see some of those fish die as well. And remember, too, that the water hasn't been exactly warm, but it's been colder, then warmer, then colder, then warmer. And fish have been kind of having a tough time figuring out where to be, and anglers have been having a hard time finding them. That's because a lot of those fish have been getting stressed by those temperatures. It was warm, and then it dropped down cold. And then it was warm, and then it dropped down cold. There's no time to really get used to any particular temperature.
Acclimate.
And this kind of event can be enough to just have enough stress to push them over the edge.
So, what we're telling you is be prepared for this. And the reasons why, if you're a fish and you're back by one of these islands and the water starts going down and you just drop into a hole next to the mangroves and you don't get your lazy butt out to the harbor, it can be fatal. Now, we're talking about snook, redfish, trout. You got bonnet sharks that are going to be susceptible to this. There's so many fish and so much bait, shrimp. Very, very little can, outside of humans or mammals, can survive 30-degree temperatures. And anything caught back on the flats is susceptible to this. But this is just explaining what's going to go on and just kind of getting you ready. So while your heart may hurt, you need to keep your head together and go, okay, this is just the way God made this. This is Mother Nature. And bad thing, yes. Horrific. Oh my God, the world's ending tomorrow.
Probably not.
No, the world's not ending. Life will go on. Fishing will stay. Everything's going to be okay.
And the good news is that there are plenty of deep water refuges out there that those fish can make it to and that they can survive.
And we'll do a video about that. We're going to do a little excerpt about that. But any last questions on why you might see, and this is a maybe. We're not saying this is going to happen, but we're saying this might happen. And tonight, Tuesday, whatever, this is still
It's
January, right?
January 27th.
January 27th. Tomorrow, the 28th, we're going to see air temps 30 degrees, maybe 31 or 32, but cold enough, and wind chills in the high 20s, which can cause a pretty good fish kill.
But it might be nothing at all. So
And it might be nothing.
get them fingers crossed. If your toes can cross, if you have that kind of digital mobility, then cross those up too. And
Give
let's
me a
hope for
shot
the
in my
best.
chair so I can say goodbye. There we go. There we are. All right. Fishing Frank here. Captain Josh Olive over there. This is just a little bit about what might happen. We're going to post this tonight. And tomorrow we'll... are you on the water tomorrow or can we record?
What did you say the temperature was going to be?
you're not going to be on the water. Okay. Windy, 30 degrees, we're not on the water.
Yeah,
So
not happening.
Josh and I will get together tomorrow. We're going to see what happened and see if this actually occurs or if it's a nothing burger. But
Really hoping for that nothing burger.
really hoping for the nothing burger, but not betting the farm on it.
Yeah.
So, Fishing Frank, a little music, please, and
It's
then
going.
we're out of here.
Yeah, off we are.
Good night and sleep tight, we gotta go. We'll see y'all real soon for the next show.